What is up? Welcome back. My name is Abby. I am an engineer turned trainer and soon to be mom of two. I am hoping to run the 5K event this October, so you can look for the lady with a massive belly. But today I'm going to take you through a short and sweet strength training workout for running. Because I know this is often the first thing to go when life gets busy, but the reality is that this, I don't want to say it's just as crucial as the running, but it's a very important part of your training because this is what's going to help keep you injury-free and make sure that you actually get to that start line with me. So all you will need for today's workout is 30 minutes, a couple sets of dumbbells. I would recommend a lighter set and a heavier set. I like to start my workouts with a brief dynamic stretching and mobility warm-up. I will put some exercises on screen, but you're aiming for about 60 seconds of each. Moving into the main workout, a strategy we'll use is supersetting front and back of body or opposite action muscle groups. The technical term for this is agonist-antagonist supersets. Basically, it's a trainer trick to cut down on workout time without compromising on recovery. The idea is that while one muscle group is working, the other one is resting, and vice versa. First up, we're supersetting a split squat with a split stance hinge. Now, I will have some modifiers for you, but let's at least try to set up this split squat together. I am going to recommend grabbing one of your heavier weights. For reference, I have got my 30-pound dumbbells with me today. So if I'm starting with my right leg forward, we're gonna have the weight in our left hand to get those cross-body stabilizer muscles firing that are so important for stability and running efficiency. So standing up nice and tall, stacking your shoulders over your hips, not letting these jump back. We're gonna bend at the knee as we lower down until that knee is just skimming the ground. Then stomp down through that front leg to stand back up. So it's important that we keep a nice tall posture here, so that we're feeling the emphasis of this through the front side of that right thigh, through those quad muscles. Now, if that isn't feeling great, if maybe this split squat, your stability isn't quite there, or it's just uncomfortable, a modifier you could do is taking that one heavy weight again, keeping it in your right hand, but what we're gonna do is placing that weight completely across your shoulder, whatever is comfy. You're gonna square your feet off for me. So feet are side by side, just beyond shoulder width apart. Still keeping that chest tall, but notice how we are loading one side of the body. It's not even, so we're still gonna get those cross-body stabilizers firing. Keeping the chest tall as we drop down into a squat, stomping down into the ground to squeeze it back up. So we're still getting those same muscles working. We're still getting the cross-body stabilizers firing. And you can take your time working up to that split squat. Moving into our split stance deadlift, the setup of this is gonna look similar to the setup of the split squat, but we're going to shift the emphasis now to those back of body hamstring muscles. So let's set up again with our right foot forward, weight in the left hand. I will have a modifier for you. The key difference here is that rather than bending at the knee to initiate the movement, I want you to stay long from the top of your head to the tip of your tailbone as we reach those hips back. So when we think of our alignment in this bottom position, we want to stay long through the spine. We want the knee stacked over the ankle, and we want to feel a stretch building in our hip, our glute, those back of thigh hamstring muscles. To raise back up, we're going to stomp that front foot down into the ground, drive our hips forward, and repeat like that for me. Now, if you're not loving the split stance deadlift, if you feel like you need a modifier, you want to work toward it, but your stability isn't quite there, what you can do is picking up that heavy weight again. Of course, you can drop to your lightweight if you want, but grabbing that weight in your right hand, we're going to square off the feet about shoulder width apart. You don't want to go too wide here. Now, before we do anything, we're going to do a quick alignment check. So making sure that our hips are aligned. They're not lopsided, we're not drooping to one side. They are facing forward. Our shoulders are aligned. Again, they're not drooping, we're not caving to the weight. They're aligned, they're facing forward. We want to maintain this alignment throughout this movement. Once you've done your little alignment check, you can keep this free hand, just kind of tracing or mirroring the movement of the other hand as we drop down. You are going to reach back with the hips, staying long from the top of your head to the tip of your tailbone, feeling that stretch build in your hamstrings and glutes. Then to raise back up, we're gonna stomp down into the ground and squeeze our glutes forward. For our next superset, we are gonna be doing some upper body work because running is a full body movement. Yes, your legs may drive that movement, but having a strong upper body and core is what's gonna help keep it efficient. So I will be dropping to my lighter weights. Of course, it is completely up to you which weights you choose. For reference, I've got my 15-pound dumbbells with me today. Still going single side here. So we're gonna set up, I will have modifiers, but we're gonna set up for a split stance row. So positioning that left leg forward, right leg back. This is gonna look kind of like that bottom position of the split stance deadlift. So you wanna sit back at the hips, staying long through the spine, keeping that knee vertical over the ankle. Weight is in my right hand, and from here, once we've locked that into position, we're gonna exhale row. So if maybe we're not loving the split stance row, of course I have a modification for you. Very simple. All you need to do is grab a bench, box, step, chair, ottoman, piece of furniture you have in your home, something that is firm and stable, let's say 1 to 2 feet off the ground. You'll see in a second. I'm gonna switch my feet and hands around just so you can see what we're doing here. But I'm going to have the same side hand as the leg that is forward, down on the bench. From here, it's just the same thing, but with a little extra support from that bench. Exhale as we row, drawing that elbow up and in towards your side of body. Supersetting that back of body emphasis with some shoulders and less directly a bit of chest. We are gonna be getting down into a split kneeling position. Of course, I will have a modifier, so just you stay patient. But for split kneeling, we wanna have about 90 degrees at both knees. So do a little alignment check with me. Make sure your hips are about even, they're facing forward. Shoulders are even, facing forward. We've got 90 degrees at this knee, 90 degrees at this knee. That knee is about stacked over that ankle. We're gonna be picking up the weight in the opposite hand of that lead leg. So if my left leg is forward, the weight is in my right hand. It will be starting up at shoulder height. Now, once you've got a bit of load up on that shoulder, you're gonna notice that maybe your core gets a little funny. This is why before we even start moving, I want you to think of squeezing that back butt cheek, okay? We're not tilting the pelvis under, but we're staying strong and stable for as we press that weight up and over. So when you're ready to get going with me, let's do a nice big exhale out through the mouth. Stacking that weight overhead. Inhale down, exhale, press. Of course I am pregnant, but hopefully you can still see that belly moving in with me. As I exhale, get out of here, fly. Wrapping that core, compressing those ribs down and in. Now, if maybe your knees are sensitive, you're not quite ready for that split kneeling variation, what you can do is, of course, again, grab your trusty bench, box, step, chair, whatever piece of furniture you want to use, something that is a comfortable sitting height for you, isn't gonna move out from under you. And we do that same thing. All right, you can either keep your legs bent about 90 degrees, pushing up and overhead on that right side. Or if maybe you want to progress the difficulty a little bit without kneeling, what you could do is keeping that left leg bent, extending out straight with the right, pressing up from there. For our final superset, we are pairing a side lying hip raise with some inner thigh work. Of course, I will have modifications, but setting up here, we're gonna be starting down from a hand side plank position. So I'm gonna take my left hand, placing it below my left shoulder. Legs are going to be bent, okay? So I'm not gonna say like a certain number of degrees at the knee, but your legs are bent. Your hips are just behind being in line with your body. Now you can do this with or without an added weight. If you choose to add the weight, you will position it just on the outside of your thigh. I'm gonna demo without the weight here because, I mean, you'll get it when you try this. But we're gonna be starting, sitting our hips back just ever so slightly, And then as we exhale, we are going to press that bottom knee down into the ground to drive our hips forward as we lift and open with that top side knee. So sitting back at the hips, closing in, driving the hips forward and opening up. Now you might have to scooch around and readjust a bit with this. If you don't want to add that weight, but you want a little bit more difficulty, just press down into that top side knee with your hand. Now, if that is feeling way too challenging by this point of our training, understandable, you can modify to start with your shoulders aligned with your hips, aligned with that bottom knee, so hips are forward, locking that bottom hip into position. And from here, just lifting that top side leg up and down. Okay, you should feel this through the outside of your glute. That bottom side still working to stabilize, but just a little bit less range of motion. Supersetting with some inner thigh or inner hip emphasis. So we're gonna set up for this movement in a split kneeling position, this time arranging yourself laterally though. So keeping that bottom leg bent and on the ground, we're gonna take that right leg now and let's extend it long, making sure that you have a good contact between the inside of your foot and the ground, because we're gonna be pushing into the ground through that part of our foot, so we get a nice burn through the inner thigh of the extended side. You can do this body weight only or with a weight. I do like using the weight just because I feel like it positions my wrist at a more comfortable angle. You'll see once we get going. So starting nice and tall, we are going to inhale as we reach our head as long as we can away from that heel, planting the hand down. We are going to exhale as we press into that top side foot and lift that bottom knee up. Inhale on the lower. Exhale, we're pressing into the foot of that extended leg and squeezing back up. So you are gonna feel this through your core, through your obliques, but also because we're maintaining pressure through that foot, through this inner thigh. Let's do that again. Inhale as we're reaching long from the head to the heel. Exhale, lifting that bottom knee up. Inhale down. Exhale as we press into the foot of the extended leg, contract our core, compress everything in to reset between reps. Now, if you're looking at that bottom knee lift and you are thinking, maybe that's not happening, that's okay, because I've got a modifier for you. So we're gonna stay with this same setup, starting from the same position, dropping down just the same, reaching nice and long. Once we get here though, all I want you to do is a little isometric contraction. What that means is we're contracting our muscles without moving. So when you're in this bottom position, I want you to exhale, push that extended foot down into the ground, squeeze through your core, hold this for a second or two. Then we're gonna inhale, release, and exhale, come back up just the same. Okay, you're still gonna build that inner thigh, that core strength that you need to work up to the progression, but maybe that's just a bit more of a comfortable range of motion for where you're currently at. So that is it for today's short and sweet full body. The beauty of full body training is that because you hit every muscle, every workout, you can get by with less workouts per week while still maintaining the training frequency you need to see those improvements in strength and stability. This is the exact approach we follow in the Anda app. Every workout is done in real time, so I am right there sweating and struggling out with you. TCS, we may have an offer for you. I will see what we can do, but I hope you found this helpful, and I do hope I will see you at the start line soon.